We are nearing the release of Shadow of the Erdtree, and the vast majority of the gaming community will be playing it to some capacity. Some players will play it once and never finish it. Others will play it, beat it, and move on. And then there are those like me who will dedicate their remaining life to it. By the way, can DLCs be nominated for Game of the Year? Because the only reason why Shadow of the Erdtree will not win Game of the Year 2024 is if they do not let it participate. But I digress. The point that I am trying to make is that there will be many different kinds of players picking up the DLC, and each of them have different expectations. Of course, that includes myself. What do I expect from this DLC? Better said, what do I want to get out of it? This is a very important question because much like the base game of Elden Ring, there's only one chance to experience it for the first time. There is only one first time, and it is important to make it the best experience possible. When it comes to the base game, playing it for the first time is relatively simple. You make a new character, start exploring, and reach the end at some point in time. For me, it was 105 hours later. But what about the DLC? It is not as simple as just rolling a new build and going in. We have to use a pre-existing character. Whether we use the old character that we beat the game with for the first time, or we create a new one with the intention of bringing it to the DLC, the fact of the matter remains that we can only play Shadow of the Erdtree with a pre-existing character. This got me thinking, what do I want to do? What is the best character that I could use to have the best Shadow of the Erdtree experience? To make things clear, I do not mean builds. Strength, dexterity, intelligence, faith, arcane, none of this matters. Play what you enjoy the most, as everything is viable. What I mean is, what is the best character approach? After some time, I reached a conclusion. There are really only two ways to approach the DLC. Either you go into the DLC with a specific build, or you go in with an over-leveled character. It could be level 300, level 500, or hell, even max level. Each of these two approaches have their merits, and each of them bring about their own problems. In fact, they are truly two sides of the same coin, and whichever you pick will determine how your first experience with Shadow of the Erdtree goes. This, my dear viewer, is a very important decision, because we only get one first time. My intention is to present both sides of this coin and show you their good things and of course their bad things. At the end, I will share my own opinion and decision with the understanding that there really is no right or wrong choice. It is just a matter of philosophy. The first choice is to go into the DLC with a fully optimized but controlled character. As I mentioned before, the build itself does not matter, as you can play whatever you like best. But the point is that we limit the character to a specific rune level in order to maintain a sense of balance between the player's power level and the difficulty of the environment. Personally, I choose to make all my PvE builds rune level 150. I believe that this is the best level limit that allows us to reach a fully optimized but specialized build while maintaining identity. Staying at rune level 150 allows us to play the game with whichever build we want, but it keeps it controlled so that the challenge of the game never falls off. It is a simple system that has existed since Demon's Souls and, over the years, it has proven to be efficient at reaching its main objective: balance. The positive of using this system is a much more curated experience. By this, I mean that when you play Shadow of the Erdtree, you will be participating in a much more intended experience. Your character will have its strengths and it will have its weaknesses. There will be parts of the game that will be easy for your character, and there will be parts that are going to be difficult. You won't have the perfect answer for every situation, and that will force you to adapt and interact with the game more. You will have to explore, learn, and improve as the game places different obstacles in your path. Furthermore, you will have to maximize your character's participation in the new power level system that FromSoft intends to add to the DLC. Overall, having an optimized but controlled character, regardless of what build you choose, will generally increase your attachment to the environment. It would also maximize your sense of accomplishment because, when you finally do beat Shadow of the Erdtree, much like Mr. Sinatra, you would have done it your way. Of course, all positives come with their own set of negatives. Using an optimized but controlled character thus requires sacrifices. The number one negative point of using these kinds of characters is that you, the player, will be missing out on some aspects of the content. This is due to the rigidity of the character. This is easiest to understand when it comes to weapons and spells. Imagine you are running a strength build, but you find a cool new katana that requires dexterity and faith. You are probably not going to be able to use it. In the same way, if you find a really strong sorcery that requires a lot of intelligence, it will be of no use to your character. Going into the DLC with a controlled character also limits the amount of things that you can use. This is important to take into consideration because it is inescapable. Going into Shadow of the Erdtree with a controlled character means that there will always be part of the content that you cannot experience on your first playthrough. Sure, this does increase the replay value of the DLC, but remember, there is only one first time. On the other hand, we have the possibility of going into Shadow of the Erdtree with an over-leveled character that can do anything and everything at any point in time. It can be melee and it can be caster at once. It can take advantage of status effects and have maximum HP values at the same time. There are no choices for this character, there are no sacrifices, it is all power and it is all available immediately and upon request. This sounds good, doesn't it? That's because it is. You will have an extremely powerful character that is ready to tackle every single challenge that the game throws at you. You will have the perfect answer for every situation and every single tool in the game will be at the touch of your fingertips. But, like everything in life, even the best situations have their good and their bad. On a positive note, you will be going into Shadow of the Erdtree with the most versatile option. An overleveled character can easily reach the second soft cap of every single stat. You can have all the HP you need, you can have as much FP as you want for your spells, you will never have any issues with weight limits or load types, and, of course, you will be able to meet the requirements of every single weapon and spell in the game. Nothing that Shadow of the Erdtree has will be out of your reach. You will be able to experience every single piece of content available immediately and, most importantly, you will be able to switch back and forth between weapons, spells, and playstyles. Nothing will be out of your reach, and this is extremely fun because you will never need to make any kind of choice or sacrifice. The DLC will be a sandbox and you, my dear viewer, will be the toddler having the time of their lives. That being said, running an overleveled character does also have a negative aspect to it. This might be more a matter of philosophy, but it is important to keep in mind. We must go back to the concept of there is only one first time. If you go into Shadow of the Erdtree with an overleveled character, things might become way too easy. In and of itself, this might not sound like a bad thing, but it is important to understand that easy things are not memorable. What do I mean by this? If you go into the DLC and begin to plow through all of the content, it will become forgettable. When it comes to humans, we tend to have a more vivid memory of parts of our lives in which we struggled or worked hard to achieve a goal. When it comes to video games in general, and Souls games in particular, our best memories are those in which we had a hard time overcoming an obstacle and, after a lot of work, finally got through it. Running an overleveled character that has every answer for every problem will be effective to get you to the end, but it will not leave you with any scars. It becomes emotionless. Yeah, we beat the game, but did it really mean anything? We must return to the concept. There is only one first time. Do we really want it to be forgettable? After presenting both options and going over the main pros and cons, the time has come to give you my own personal opinion. I see this as a very easy choice. My dear viewer, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that I will be going into Shadow of the Erdtree with an optimized but controlled build. I will be running a rune level 150 build, and I will see how far that gets me. I believe that I have enough skill and knowledge of the game to make this work, and I believe that it will give me the best experience. I want to test all of my skills. I want to test how well I play the game, and I also want to test how good I am at making builds. I want to bring my abilities to the absolute limit and surpass them. I want to show up with my best shit and see how it compares to what FromSoft has to offer. I want to beat the easy bosses. I want to struggle on the hard ones. I want to be forced to think and strategize and overcome the biggest bullshit that FromSoft can put on the table. Much like with the base game of Elden Ring, I want to have an unforgettable experience. I will have plenty of time in the future to play and replay the game as many times as needed. I will make tens of characters to explore every single aspect of the Shadow of the Erdtree, and of course, I will definitely have an overleveled character in my pocket to test weapons, spells, and mechanics. All of these possibilities will always be there, waiting for me. But as we have said many times during this video, there is only one first time, and I intend to make it the best possible. Now, I understand that my way of thinking is not something that everyone can agree on. That's okay. After all, we all have different needs and objectives. I am sure that some viewers do not have the time or the patience to invest into the game. Some viewers just want to go through it as quickly as possible. In the same way, there might be other viewers that do not want to think or learn. They are looking for the easiest ride available. All of this is acceptable and completely respectable. That being said, and I am sure that by now I am sounding like a broken record, but the fact of the matter remains that each of us only get one first time playing Shadow of the Erdtree. My dear viewer, do not waste it. Thank you very much for your time, and I do hope I get to see you on the next one.